They live in this incredible rainforest, and Papua New Guinea has some of the last remaining rainforests and cloud forests in the world.
That horn has become something of a prime item on the black market. Bringing rhinos back to Manus means an entire second chance for the rhinos, but also for that community.
For Seattle, the capital, the heart of coffee drinking communities, it's really easy to say, hey, if you're going to drink coffee, you might as well drink conservation coffee and help the tree kangaroos.
Hello and welcome to Woodland Park Zoo. I'm Shelby Miller. Thank you so much for joining us here today. It's hard to believe, but this is our 8th episode here at the zoo, and we've covered so much, from incredible animals like these guys here to their adorable babies, the amazing animal care and conservation, and today is no different. We'll highlight some of the misjudged animals in the wild so you don't find yourself face to face with one of these big guys. Plus, the greater one-horned rhinos are tough to miss when walking around the zoo, but they're quite a bit more rare to see in the wild, in a large part because of poachers. We'll explain the ongoing effort to bring these iconic animals back from the brink of extinction. But first, we head to Papua New Guinea. There we'll introduce you to the endangered tree kangaroo, an amazing community of conservationists, and the surprising connection they have to a local coffee company. Because you know, here in Seattle, we all love a good cup of joe. In fact, I think I could use a refill. Peeking her tiny head out from her mother's pouch. It took some convincing.
Oh, come on, show us your Joey.
And a little bit of begging.
We really want to see your baby. She's half falling out of your pouch. What do you think?
But finally, we got to see the baby Joey. This is Kay Wang. She's the newest addition to the tree kangaroo family at Woodland Park Zoo. Keepers are still getting to know this little bundle of joy. But over the years, they've gotten to know her mom, Alana, very well.
She's a fun girl. She's definitely kept us on our toes versus we've had some others here that are nice and they are great to work with also, but she's kind of fun because she's sassy.
So just like people, they have different attitudes.
Oh, very different attitudes.
Tree kangaroos are special for a lot of reasons. One of their most heartwarming traits is the connection mothers and babies share.
They have a really close bond with their offspring, or joey is what we call it. And the joey stays with the mother at least 18 months. And that's a very big investment for a small mammal.
This joey has been hanging out in her mama's pouch for about 9 months. Keepers discovered the baby Christmas Day 2019.
So the nose is right here. This is the Joey's head, and that's the front foot.
Seeing a tree kangaroo this up close is rare. These amazing animals are endangered in the wild. It's estimated there's less than 2,500 left. They live on the island of New Guinea and in parts of northeastern Australia. These furry, tree-dwelling marsupials hide up in the canopy of the rainforest, making them tough to study. Senior conservation scientist Lisa Dayback was one of the first to focus her research on tree kangaroos, starting back in 1987. She's been traveling to Papua New Guinea for close to 25 years.
Once you meet a tree kangaroo, you sort of fall in love. And that's what happened to me. They're so cute. And what I also like is that they're one of the little known animals in the world. And so I was drawn to them because they live in this incredible rainforest, and Papua New Guinea has some of the last remaining rainforests and cloud forests in the world.
Tree kangaroos live high up in the mountains, and as you'd probably guess by the name, these animals spend most of their time up in trees. This giant tail is for balance. They can jump from heights of 60 feet to the forest floor without hurting themselves, but their population is at risk.
I would hate to see these animals go extinct.
Locals hunt tree kangaroos for their meat and fur, and habitat destruction means these days they don't have as many places to live.
As human populations increased, they were hunting more and more, and then some of the forest was being cut down for development or mining, logging, and so they were losing habitat and also being hunted.
Which is why Woodland Park Zoo funded the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program. They partner with local communities in rural Papua New Guinea to protect the endangered tree kangaroo and its forest home.
The approach that we've taken is to empower the local people and the local scientists, the local biologists, to do the work for the future.
They're even teaching children about tree kangaroos, sparking conservation conversation about the species from a young age.
When you start to learn about different animals and different places in the world becomes a little bit smaller. And I think it really is not just about the animals, it's about kids learning about kids from halfway around the world.
Proving just how small the world can be. You can support tree kangaroo conservation right here in Seattle, also known as the coffee capital of the USA. It's as simple as brewing a special pot of joe. Woodland Park Zoo collaborated with Cafe Vita to produce an exclusive roast from Papua New Guinea, home to the endangered Matschie's tree kangaroo.
The tree kangaroos live in cloud forests in Papua New Guinea, and that's high elevation forests. And so the farmers and the villages many of them are in very high elevation, and that makes really, really good coffee.
Really good coffee, helping a really great cause.
It's really great when you can drink a cup of coffee and know that you're helping endangered animals like the tree kangaroos.
This is what the zoo calls conservation commerce. Over the years, the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program has worked with local landowners to establish more than 180,000 acres of protected land. It's there that they've created a sustainable coffee program.
They really had no cash economy before. And so the ability to sell their coffee beans allows their children to go to school and allows their families to have health care. So it's a very direct relationship, and that's what's so wonderful.
The partnership has helped 15,000 people across more than 50 different villages. It's saving the animals too.
The conservation area that they have created, and Woodland Park Zoo has helped them to create, is habitat for tree kangaroos and many other species of birds and insects and other animals. But it means that the coffee farmers, they make a pledge for the conservation area. So they've donated land and they look after it. And then that means that the tree kangaroos are looked after, and then they can be part of this coffee cooperative.
Combine the area's rich organic soil, high altitude, and tropical climate, and you get a spot that's pretty perfect to grow coffee. Cafe Vita works hand in hand with farmers to bring this smooth-bodied medium roast blend to market.
We always say in Papua New Guinea, you have to work slowly, walk easily, step by step. And now 10 years later, we have a lot, like Cafe Vita brought in 10 tons of coffee this year.
By buying this Farm Direct International Roast, people in Washington can directly support the families and the animals on the island of Papua New Guinea. And this gives Daybeck optimism about the future for the endangered tree kangaroo.
For Seattle, the capital, the heart of coffee drinking communities, it's really easy to say, hey, if you're going to drink coffee, you might as well drink conservation coffee and help the tree kangaroos.
Coming up on your inside look at the Woodland Park Zoo.
And my mom took me to the zoo and I saw greater one-horned rhinos and I was hooked, and here I am today.
You'll meet Taj and Glenn and learn about the work being done to give these greater one-horned rhinos a second chance.
So there's this one community in India where this project is taking place. It's called Manas, and there's Manas National Park, and it is the most inspiring story.
Today we're taking you closer than ever before. From the newborn babies to the zoo's biggest cats and everything in between. Get ready for a wildlife experience like no other.
So today's exam was an ultrasound examination.
So sit down and get comfortable as we look inside the Woodland Park Zoo. At Woodland Park Zoo, they have two greater one-horned rhinos. These guys are Taj and Glenn. Inside the rhino barn, they don't have a worry in the world as they soak in their hot tub. But in the wild, poachers target these guys for their horns. And there's a massive effort going on right now to save the rhinos. The greater one-horned rhino. For these guys, it says it right in their name. Horns have made rhinos the target of poaching for hundreds of years.
That horn has become something of a prime item on the black market, and it is sometimes used in traditional medicines. It can be seen as a trophy or a status symbol.
There's a couple cultures that believe that their horn has medicinal purposes to it. And the belief is that it can cure anything from a headache and a hangover all the way up to cancer, believe it or not. But we do know that their horn is actually made out of keratin, the same material as our hair and also our fingernails. Primarily that horn is removed. It is ground up and then it is taken usually like as a tea or something like that. But I know and you know that if we chew our fingernails and eat them, it's not going to get rid of that headache that we have. So the horn should stay on the rhino.
Rhinos were once widespread across the entire northern part of the Indian subcontinent. But between poaching and killing, populations plummeted. By the turn of the 20th century, there were fewer than 200 greater one-horned rhinos left in the wild.
We're standing in the presence of two animals now, and you think about 200 of their entire species left. I think you start to realize just how urgent these conservation causes are, which that's the great part about having them here.
Taj and Glenn are a couple of the newest residents at Woodland Park Zoo. These boys arrived in 2018. They're not brothers, but they're only one day apart. They turned 4 years old in November, and they're full of personality.
Glenn seems to be kind of more of the, I guess, the intellectual, the kind of wallflower of the two, where Taj is kind of the happy-go-lucky kind of rhino that you would see. But the two of them actually, as you can tell, work really well together. So it's that kind of yin-yang that they have going on there. It's actually pretty cool.
They love snacking on rose petals and taking 91-degree baths to soak and hydrate their tough, dry skin. Having Taj and Glenn in Seattle helps people form a connection with rhinos in the wild.
And my mom took me to the zoo and I saw greater one-horned rhinos and I was hooked. And here I am today. So I think that does help. And I think a lot of the programs that we have and opportunities to see them like this and up close and personal, it definitely gives you that opportunity to connect with them and want to give that passion and help save them.
Because you look at them and you wonder how anybody could ever hurt them.
There you go. Absolutely. I mean, just from you being here for this short time, you obviously can tell that they're just amazing. They're awesome. And you're right. I don't know how anybody could do something like that to these guys.
Not long ago, greater one-horned rhinos were on the brink of extinction. Thanks to conservation efforts, they're getting a second chance. Woodland Park Zoo partnered with the International Rhino Foundation. It was founded in 1993 in response to the escalating crisis facing all 5 rhino species. In less than 30 years, the foundation's efforts have helped the greater one-horned rhino population grow from just 200 to more than 3,500 animals. They're even starting to build new rhino populations in areas where the animals were once extinct.
So there's this one community in India where this project is taking place. It's called Manas, and there's Manas National Park, and it is the most inspiring story. Because in that park, there actually used to be a rhino population that at one point was thriving. But what happened is that there was civil unrest in the area, and when law enforcement was distracted, poachers came in, and they kept coming until they took all the rhinos. There actually were no rhinos left in that park, and they became locally extinct. And so through this translocation process, where we've been able to reestablish rhino populations, bringing rhinos back to Manas means an entire second chance for the rhinos, but also for that community. And they are working hard to make sure that that protection stays in place and that these rhinos are part of their lives for generations to come. And even the school children are participating. It's the most incredible thing. All of the school children of that community in Manas They start every single school morning with an oath to conservation. And so they all stand together and in unison, they make a pledge that they are going to protect their forest. It's going to be the best forest on the planet. They're going to look after their animals, the rhinos and the elephants and the tigers that call it home.
A touching tribute that gives us all hope of a promising future for our friends, the rhinos. When you look at him right here so up close, what goes through your head? How amazing is it to see him right here with us?
You know, for me, these animals they're my motivation. And I know for so many of our visitors, they have that same experience as well. There's just nothing that beats the chance to, I don't know, smell a little rhino breath and really just have that kind of experience that you can't replicate anywhere else. And really just have your eyes opened and your hearts opened to not just how wonderful they are, but how easy it is to actually just be part of that cause and to be part of that movement all around the world.
Grizzly bears have lived in the North Cascades for thousands of years. But despite that history, researchers believe less than 24 remain. In fact, a grizzly hasn't been spotted in Washington state in more than 20 years. But we can reverse history and bring these guys back. Some of that work is happening right here at Woodland Park Zoo.
Grizzly bears are a subspecies of brown bear. And here in Washington, we actually have very few, if any, brown bears left in our state, unfortunately. But what we do have in Washington is a really healthy population of black bears. Bears are, although they're carnivores kind of by taxonomy, they're more omnivores in terms of what they eat, so they have a pretty varied diet. So they can really play roles as both as omnivores and carnivores. So they can be a top predator, they can control populations of other animals. They can also be great seed dispersers. They eat a lot of berries. If you see bear scat in the woods, oftentimes there's a lot of berries in it. So in a sense, they can be seed dispersers too. So they play a lot of different roles. If we kind of respect each other's space, we can coexist best. And that means not having things in your yard that might attract bears. Some examples would be trash, fallen fruit even, or things like pet food that are left out. So if we don't want to come into close proximity, which can then lead to other conflicts, it's best for us to really think about not having anything around that might attract a bear into our space. And then when you're in their space, hiking in the woods, it's just about being aware. You know, if you see scat, maybe be really aware of your surroundings. Bears have great noses and they can smell things really far away, and so it's really about thinking about what's going to attract them through the smells. Yeah. You see a black bear on the trail, it's as scared of you as you are of it, and so generally as long as you make yourself known, you know, make noise, you can raise your hands up and yell, and they generally will run the other direction.
From giant grizzlies that are rare to see in Washington to other wild animals that are sprawling across our state. Coming up, we'll uncover how we can coexist with carnivores.
They live in this incredible rainforest, and Papua New Guinea has some of the last remaining rainforests and cloud forests in the world.
That horn has become something of a prime item on the black market. Bringing rhinos back to Manus means an entire second chance for the rhinos, but also for that community.
for Seattle, the capital, the heart of coffee drinking communities, it's really easy to say, hey, if you're going to drink coffee, you might as well drink conservation coffee and help the tree kangaroos.
With more people moving to the area, we're forcing some animals into more remote areas and forcing others to adapt right alongside us. And that's why it's so important that we get to know these animals living around us. The zoo is using a special crowdsourcing system to get a glimpse at how humans coexist with carnivores.
One tool that we launched about a year ago is called Carnivore Spotter. And that's for kind of the greater Seattle area, the whole region. And people can go on and report their sightings of carnivores and the types of interactions that they're having. And so over time, we might be able to use that tool to kind of get an idea of what people are seeing and when they're seeing it and what types of interactions they're having. Mm-hmm. We just started looking through the 4,000 plus reports we have in the first year and kind of seeing what sorts of interactions people have reported. And there are instances of bears knocking over garbage cans that people catch on their, home cameras and things like that. But there are very few negative interactions that people reported. So that's good. And we'll see over time, what kind of trends we see through Carnivore Spotter.
What a great day. We enjoyed a nice cup of tree kangaroo conservation coffee. We saw some of my favorite guys, the rhinos, in their rhino spa, and we learned so much about the wild animals around us. To learn more about the programs we shared with you today, head to the zoo's website. You can watch all 8 of our Woodland Park Zoo docuseries episodes online at KIRO7.com/zoo. It's been a privilege to meet these animals, see the hard work that's being done to save them, and share all of it with you. I'm Shelby Miller, and I hope you enjoyed every moment here at Woodland Park Zoo.